Hello and welcome to the Billionaires Report with Veronica Pearson. Today we're at the Gantt Museum with the America I'm exhibit with our special guest, Mr. Tavis Smiley. How are you doing?
I am well, and yourself?
I'm fine.
Wonderful.
One of the questions I always wanted to ask you, viewing the Black Forum and all the other things you've done for NPR and PRI, what is your driving force that makes you want African Americans to keep learning or be knowledgeable about their history?
Yeah. I'm from a large family. I have 9 brothers and sisters. I was raised in a house with my grandmother, Big Mom, as we called her. I have always loved my family, my immediate family, but more broadly, I love Black people. And I could give you a long answer, but the short answer is I love Black people. I love all of humanity, but for me, that starts with a particular and unapologetic love for Black people. I love Black people. And when you love people, you hate seeing them treated unjustly. You hate seeing them treated unfairly. You hate seeing them live beneath their privilege. You hate seeing them living in ignorance. I believe that information is power and knowledge is power, and I don't by any means or stretch believe that I have a monopoly on the truth. But I do believe that somebody has to be willing to speak truth to power and to the powerless, even sometimes when Black folk don't understand or agree. My motivations are simple. I love Black people, and there's nothing they can do about it, even though sometimes they may try. I love them, and all of my work has been dedicated to wanting to see my people uplifted. I'm a race man. I love my people, and I want to see them do well. And so politically, socially, economically, culturally, artistically, I want to always use the platforms I've been blessed to have to try to advance the cause of our forward motion. And so it's pretty simple. I love people, I love my people, and I want to see them. I want you to do better.
Well, that's a good segue for my question. How do you maintain that disposition in the face of opposition sometimes when they don't grasp what you're giving them or it's not respected?
Yeah. When you do this kind of work, you come to understand and just accept the fact that you are going to be challenged. I have a First Amendment right to free speech. There is no guarantee in that amendment that everybody has to agree with my exercise of that free speech. So you're going to be challenged when you take these kinds of positions. Sometimes you're challenged with merit, sometimes you're challenged without merit. But it does not absolve you, it does not abrogate you of your responsibility to be a truth teller anyway. And just recognize we don't all wake up at the same time. Some alarms go off at 4, some go off at 5, some go off, you were in the military, some go off at 8. Some folks sleep late, some folks never wake up. They walk around sleepwalking their whole lives. So you can't, you cannot absolve yourself of your responsibility to be a truth teller because folks don't always agree with the truth that you tell. And you got to be open to hearing other people's points of view. Again, I don't believe I have a monopoly on everything that is truth, but I do know what my motivations are. I do know that I love Black people. I do know that I hate seeing them maltreated and disrespected. And more importantly, in this particular era, I understand how the political system and the process, I understand how the body politic works and what it responds to. Put simply, you have not because you ask not. You have to make demands. The reason why Barack Obama as president has responded to the gay community, they made a demand on same-sex marriage. The Hispanic community made a demand on immigration. The Jewish community has made a demand on the state of Israel and their politics. The environmental community has made demands. I understand as much as anybody else that this president has been up against a lot. I understand that they hate him, his opponents. I understand they want him to fail. I understand there's a lot on his plate. I get all that. But I also know that if we don't make demands, we're not going to be responded to. And I hate seeing the hell that Black people are enduring with unemployment, with poverty, with education, with crime, and not getting guns off the streets, all the issues that have plagued us for too long. When you get an African American in the White House who is your friend, who's only there because you supported him to the nth degree to make sure he got there, you have a right to make demands. That does not make you a hater. It says to you that you understand how the process works. If you don't make a demand, you're not going to get a response. And to make a demand of the president isn't hating on him. It's not putting more on his plate, not putting more on him than he can bear. It's how you get the system to respond. He is the head of the American empire. The empire only responds when it is pushed. And so that's not hating again. And so I get that some folks just don't get that. And they don't want anybody to say anything because he happens to be a brother. He's up against all that. I get all of that. But, he understands how the process works. He's said repeatedly, you got to hold me accountable. And if we haven't learned anything from the gay and lesbian community or the Hispanic community or the Jewish community, if we haven't learned yet that we're going to have to make a demand to get what concerns us addressed, we're going to look up at the end of one term or two terms and realize that we didn't cover much ground. We will have a symbolic victory in having had a black president. But symbolism is one thing. I want substance. Where will the substance leave us? And that's what my concern is. And again, that is all because I love black people. And I don't want to see us for 4 years of 8 years doing the woo, 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 and then we don't really get anything. I mean, that's my concern.
But do you feel, one of the things I tell people, I think the main issue of this saying, well, he hasn't done enough for black people. I said, if we realistically answer that question or answer why we think that way, is because we feel he should have more empathy to understand black causes because you're black. Whereas we didn't put the same pressure on white presidents because we're like, okay, we want you to do it as a president, but we feel you should understand because we might not get another in the White House. We might not get another second term. And so I tell people, I said, be realistic on the question you're asking because you want him to do more because he should understand what you're facing, even, with all the
Well, I think there is some truth to that you expect that somebody who looks like you, who's married to somebody who looks like you, who has 2 kids who look like you, and a mother-in-law who lives with him who looks like you, you expect that person would understand your concerns better. And he was a community organizer on the south side of Chicago. So you expect that he would understand that. And that's one reason to press. But the other reason to press is whether he could be as white as the snow. Bill Clinton, is an African American. Abraham Lincoln, who freed the slaves, wasn't an African American. Harry Truman, who desegregated the military, wasn't an African American. FDR, who fought the Great Depression, wasn't an African American. LBJ, who gave us the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act, wasn't an African American. So my point is that you make demands because you are an American citizen and because you have a right to make demands. And especially and particularly if you voted at the level and rate that black people did to get him elected, you have a right to say something. But then on top of all of that, if you're the one if your community is catching the most hell, I don't care who the president is. It's not about the president, it's about the presidency. It's about the body politics, about the White House and the Congress. They have to be forced to respond to your needs. If you were in a car accident and they rushed you to the hospital and you had a head trauma, I would hope they would not start operating on your feet. My feet are fine. I got head trauma. The point is, you have to respond to that pain, that damage that is the most acute. And in this economy, in this society right now, the majority of the pain that's being inflicted is being felt by our people. And somebody's got to pay attention to that. And we can't be so willing to give the president a pass on our pain just because he looks like us. And again, that's not being mean or difficult or tough or hating on him. It's about the fact that we're suffering. And all I do is just choose to remind the president, to remind the Congress, to remind Republicans and Democrats that these people over here are hurting. And it's just always funny to me, and I'm used to it now, but it's funny and strange how, when you are fighting for their best interest, sometimes they don't get that. I mean, I don't talk about this stuff publicly, but the reality is that I'm working like a Jamaican. I got 4 or 5 jobs. TV, radio, book publishing, foundation, speakers bureau. I mean, I've been very fortunate and very blessed. So most of the stuff that I'm fighting for isn't even for me. I love my people. And I hate seeing my own people suffer through this kind of hell. But if I were going to push an agenda that were in my best interest, I'd be with Romney. Because his tax plan is more advantageous for me as a wealthy American. That's where I would be. But that's not my politics. That's not my heart. That's not my mom and my daddy. That's not my community. That's not where I was raised or how I was raised or where I live. I love my people and I want to see them do better. And so you make these adjustments. You keep telling your truth as best you can, and that's why finally this art exhibit is so important, because I don't care what time of day it is, I don't care what time of my life it is, I'm always going to love and celebrate and do whatever I can to inspire and to elevate black people and to bring us back to the North Star. And what this exhibit, America I Am, does is it reminds us of all that we've done to make the country great. It reminds us, secondly, that we've been through far worse. We've survived worse, so we'll survive this bad economy that we're going through right now. But number three, it reminds us that we've always had to make demands, that we've always had to succeed against the odds, that we've used our voices, we've raised our voices. That's why the Black National Anthem is what? Lift every voice and sing. That's why we call it that. Lift every voice. We have to raise our voices and be heard and make those demands so that we will be able to live our best lives. And that's what this exhibit and my work is all about.
And I thank you for that, because one of the things I want things to do is when they see the power behind their ancestors, it makes them want to go out and change and voice their opinion and demand things. And so I want to thank you for talking to us today.
I want to thank you.
And thank you for doing the work from Speakers Bureau to Smiley Books to everything. So working like a Jamaican.
We try to make it happen.
Because I'm trying to get where you at.
There
But
you
I want
go.
to thank you. And I want to thank you for the billionaire support out of Charlotte today. And y'all have a nice night.